So, finally, we're going to have a look at some factors and think if they make the effects of a storm worse or not as bad. So we're going to have a look through some different factors. You're going to either decide if they make storms worse, the effects of storms worse, or the effects of storms not as bad. And then you're going to have a go at answering an exam question. So as I read through this, feel free to pause it and look up anything else that you need to think about. So these are the different factors we're looking at. First of all, we need to think about whether the town that's being affected is on higher land. If it's higher up, it will be safer from flooding. We need to think about if the hurricane itself has low wind speed. If the tropical storm is of low speed, then there won't be as bad effects. The ability to move inland, for example, transport. So, if it's easy for people to get away from the sea, away from where the storm is, they should be safer. A low population density. This means there aren't as many people living in one area. Therefore, there'll be less people being affected by the storm. The roads being clear. So if they are clear, it is easy for people to get out of the area. Light building materials. If houses are made of light materials such as wood, they can be easily blown over and damaged. Good warnings. If people are given warnings clearly and early, they'll have more time to get away. An unpredictable storm path. So if they don't know where the storm is headed, more people might be affected as there's more people at risk. Strong building materials. So if buildings are made out of strong material, they're less likely to fall over, be destroyed or get damaged. Low-lying land. So if the land is very, very low, it's more likely to be flooded. The speed of responses. So if they're quick to get fire brigades, rescue teams and other emergency services like ambulances and nurses and doctors, then less people will be affected. A high population density. There might be a lot of people living in one area. A funnel-shaped bay. Now, a funnel-shaped bay means the town is living where the sea meets the land. So, if it's a funnel-shaped bay, more water will be pushed towards where people live. So a funnel-shaped bay is a dangerous thing. Think about a funnel, what you'd use in science to put liquid into a container, into a boiling tube. So a funnel will focus where all the water's going, so make flooding more likely. Large distance to the coast. So if you're further away from the coast, you're less likely to be flooded. A high storm surge. So if the height of the water coming in from the sea is very high, then you're more likely to be flooded. A low storm surge is the opposite, so a very low amount of water coming in from the sea, there'll be less flooding. And a strong economy. Does the country have a lot of money to deal with the issues? If they do, more people will be saved, less people will be at risk. And finally, a high category of storm. If the storm is very, very strong with high wind speed, there's likely to be more damage. So a moment ago, I mentioned funnel-shaped bays. People often find this one a little bit difficult. So if we have a look at an example of funnel-shaped bay, hopefully you can see how people might be affected. So if I zoom in to Miami in Florida in the United States here, we can see that Miami has got a funnel-shaped bay. Right in this area where the lagoon is behind Miami Beach, all the water might easily be pushed up into here, this section, and flood all of this land around there. As you can see, there are a lot of buildings and houses, so there are a lot of people who are at risk of getting flooded. This island here, for example, Dodge Island, the water would be pushed straight into this bay and the whole of Dodge Island might be affected. We can even think about what these effects might be if we have a look at it. There's obviously a lot of ships here and a lot of containers, so this is an area of industry. They might have chosen this as an area of industry because it's likely to get flooded. If it does get damaged during a storm, there'll be a lot of economic effects because of this. So a funnel-shaped bay such as this can increase the risk of flooding. So your final task is to answer an exam question. It's a 9-mark exam question with 3 marks available for spelling, punctuation and grammar. So make sure you're using capital letters or names of places. Make sure you're using paragraphs, a clear introduction, a point, an explanation, and make sure you're concluding it. Use as many keywords as you can. For 9 marks, you need to be really clear with what you're writing. Make your point, give an example, use evidence, and explain it. Then link it back to the question. So, our question is this. Assess the extent to which the primary effects are more significant than the secondary effects of a tropical storm. So we're going to think about what this is asking us, and we're going to bug the question to begin with. So when you bug a question, the first thing you do is box the command word, and we think our command word here is assess the extent. So that means we have to consider all of the evidence we've been presented and make an informed judgment. So in other words, talk about all the ways you agree with that, all the ways you disagree with it, and then give your conclusion. That is the most important part. Do not forget to give your conclusion, otherwise you are not answering the question. We're also going to underline the key words. So I've put primary effects is key, more significant is key, secondary effects is key, and tropical storm. So basically, what this question is asking us is, are the primary effects worse than the secondary effects of a tropical storm? What's your opinion? So go through all the reasons why you think it is more important, more damaging, the primary effects. Maybe do at least 2 or 3. Then go through the secondary effects. Why might some people argue that secondary effects are worse? Go over 2 or 3 and then give your overall conclusion. Why do you think overall primary effects are worse or secondary effects? Remember, there's no right or wrong opinion. You just need to back up what you're saying. And when you back it up, you use evidence, keywords, and explain it clearly. Give it a go, see how you do, and good luck.